Seattle City Light, Looking Forward, a community conversation. We're going to talk today about City Light's strategic approach, the challenges we're facing in the coming years, and various concepts and trade-offs that we've been talking with our review panel about over the last several months, and get your input and thoughts on how we structure rates and what that means to you. The strategic plan that we developed and launched in 2012 just completed its first year in 2013. The strategic plan that we developed in close coordination with our Citizens Review Panel and the Mayor and the City Council was adopted unanimously by the City Council in 2012. It set out to improve customer experience and rate predictability, increase workforce performance and safety practices, enhance our organizational performance through efficiencies, and continue our leadership in conservation and environmental stewardship. Over the years, utility models have been changing. And it's been changing because customers like you are expecting more from their utility. You want reliable energy and predictable rates, but you also want access to information real time, online, via mobile devices. You want us to promote solar and support energy conservation with net metering and other performance-based pricing for conservation, similar to a project in Fremont, the Skanska's Stone 34 building, which we supported with incentives so that they could cut their energy use by more than 75%. We want to continue investing in that kind of conservation model and continue to support customers as they want to install solar panels or support community solar projects. We're also facing a world where building codes are getting tighter and tighter, especially here in Seattle, where we're a leader in energy codes that produce buildings and homes that use less energy. Appliance standards have also been changing over time. You may have noticed that you can't buy incandescent light bulbs anymore. We're moving to compact fluorescents and even LEDs, which use 10 times less energy than a traditional incandescent light bulb. There are also appliances that are very much more efficient today than they were 20 years ago, 10 years ago. There are refrigerators, for example, that use less energy than a 100-watt incandescent light bulb. It's just amazing, and this is all good news. But it's requiring utilities like Seattle City Light to rethink our model and how we support the services that our customers want in the face of declining demand for the commodity product of electricity. So that's why we set out with our Citizens Review Panel to look at how we structure the rates that our customers pay. And we set out with 3 priorities. We wanted to ensure that the rates that customers pay are fair and predictable. We want them to continue supporting environmental leadership of Seattle City Light and make sure that Seattle City Light's financial health is firm. It's important to note that in this discussion of rate design, we're not talking about increasing rates for all customers. It doesn't increase the amount of revenue collected, it just rebalances it in a fair and predictable way. You can see in this chart how things have changed over the last 60, 70 years. And as I mentioned, service needs are increasing. Customers are demanding better and better service from Seattle City Light and other utilities, while the demand for electricity is not increasing the way it was certainly back in 1950, when electricity use was growing at 12% a year, well above gross domestic product growth. Today, forecasts for electricity use are expected to grow at less than 1% a year nationally. Here in Seattle, we're expecting less than 0.5% growth each year. And that's a very different model than where utilities have been over the last 20, 50 years. So we need to look ahead and make sure that we're keeping up with this change. On this next chart, you can see how we currently have our rates structured to collect money to pay for the costs of running the utility. There are certain costs of running a utility that don't change no matter how much electricity our customers use. Like paying our workers when there are storms, knocking over branches into our poles and bringing down wires. We need to pay our workers to put those poles up quickly so that you can get your lights back on. 46% of the cost of running the utility are fixed. They don't change no matter how much energy is used. And 54% of the cost of running the utility is in the form of producing that electricity so that we can deliver it to you. Yet over the years, rates have been structured in a way that 93% of our revenue comes in the form of a variable charge, dollars per kilowatt hour. And so as customers use less and less energy, that revenue stays the same or decreases, and yet we still have the fixed costs of running the utility that we have to pay for. And that's an issue we think we need to resolve today. Today, residential rates or prices are structured in a way that puts most of the cost for the customer on a variable charge, dollars per kilowatt hour, depending on how much energy you use. There's a base service charge equivalent to about $4.71 a month that you pay just to have the meter and to have billing system to support the call center so that when you call, we answer the phone. And that's $4.71. It's about half of the cost of actually providing that service. Then there's also 2 blocks of pricing for the energy itself. The first block is priced low so that everyone can afford access to it. And that covers just enough electricity to get by, 300 kilowatt hours in the summer and 480 kilowatt hours in the winter. Then a second block is priced a bit higher at 10.8 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's to cover all additional use. So we've been testing concepts with our Citizens Review panel to look at rebalancing between fixed charges and variable charges to more closely represent the cost of actually providing the service to our customers. The concept we're testing for residential customers like you is that the first block of energy should be the same year-round, 300 kilowatt hours per month. We would have a small increase in the base service charge. So if it were $4.71 per month prior, it might be closer to $7 per month after this concept. And as I said, it wouldn't increase the overall revenue coming into the utilities, so that increase in a base service charge would have a corresponding decrease in the variable energy charge, so that on average, an average customer would see no impact to their bill. I should note that we're just testing this concept, and that's why we want to hear from you today. This is a concept we want to make sure works for you, the customers, and makes sense. This chart shows that the current cost of providing a residential customer with electric service who uses very little energy on the left is about $40 a month, and yet that customer is paying less than $20 a month. On the other side, a residential customer who uses more energy, not necessarily because they're inefficient, but because some customers use more than others, the cost of providing service to them is a little less than $120 a month, and yet they're paying well over $160 a month. So the concept we're testing here with you today is a modest change, and you can see here the concept has relatively small impact on medium consumption customers and low consumption customers, and a modest decrease to the cost that higher consumption customers would be paying. We think these changes help rebalance the cost so that customers pay closer to what it costs us to provide service. As you can see on this next chart, even with these concepts, and we're exploring concepts for both residential customers like you and our business customers, with these changes, it doesn't get anywhere near changing the structure so that we're collecting 46% of our costs as fixed charges. It only moves it from 7%, the combination of the demand charge and the BSC, which is the base service charge, under the current model, to the concept model where we're collecting 13% in demand charges from our business customers and 8% in the form of base service charges and infrastructure charges. And so it's a move in the right direction, we think, but it's certainly not getting us anywhere near the true cost of providing service. Certainly the rebalancing comes with trade-offs for residential customers like you. The benefits we think are increased fairness, a minimal impact on the customer's bill, added bill predictability, improved utility operations, and allows us to continue to invest in our conservation programs, renewable programs, and the other things that we know our customers want. Certainly some concerns are that if we reduce the variable charge, the dollar per kilowatt hour charge, it could reduce the incentive for conservation, as the investment of making upgrades to insulation or windows or appliances might take a little longer to pay back. Also, some customers will see a small increase in their bill. Our schedule is to complete this outreach and get all of your input this month in January. And into February, take that back to our Citizens Review Panel and make sure that we're getting the input back to them so that we can make a recommendation to the Mayor and City Council to be adopted in July. We welcome your feedback. Please go to the website address listed here and sign up to receive updates and give us your feedback. Thank you.